live on YouTube. What's up, YouTube? TikTok's asking about Fran Brown, Syracuse head coach. I'm sorry, I have this huge cord down the middle of my screen. It's going to be like 10 minutes, and then my mic will be fully charged up. Don't want it to die midway through. But Fran Brown is a top 5 coaches meeting interview. Fact. You walk into his office. He's got the comfiest coach's couch of any coach, funny enough. Sink in there. Kind of hard to write notes, side notes. But you ask him a question, he has the temperament of like sizing you up a little bit. Then you give him the right questions, he'll go off for like 10, 15, 20 minutes. He's a character. He's good. I think Fran Brown's going to start a trend in college football where I made this video in the spring. Fran Brown's like the first non-coordinator or former head coach to get a head coaching job. That was like unheard of 5 years ago, 3 years ago. Like you had to be a coordinator to then become a head coach. But Fran Brown's such a good recruiter, and talent acquisition is the most important part of being a head coach nowadays. That's a premier factor. So if you can recruit, I don't care if you're a coach, come to my school, you can hire good coordinators around you. Wouldn't surprise me if we look back. It wouldn't surprise me if on YouTube 3 years from now, Fran Brown started a trend of non-coordinators getting head coaching jobs, and I'm making a YouTube video on that. Relax, Joe Burrow. Gotta meet our quota. There's one of 10 for today. Mo, yes I did. Mike Ford was my slot receiver my sophomore year. Nice corner too. It's funny. That's the second time I've had someone mention Ford the past couple of days. I got a buddy who plays pickup basketball with him in Long Beach. That's funny. Love it. Max asked Patriots record prediction. I was golfing. It was just like a last minute Saturday twilight round, and I got paired with a Patriots fan last week. So he asked me that same question. I say 7 wins. They take a step, but they're not in playoff category yet. I say 7 wins. So I can see the YouTube chat. Sorry. Scott Ordway asks, how did BYU land such a highly touted commit? See, people forget my first take here, so I backed him up in high school, but BYU got the number 1 quarterback in the country 15 years ago. Went to my high school. He was the starter when I was a freshman. I actually saw him last week for like the first time in a decade. Jake Heaps. BYU fans know all about Heaps, but people were saying, oh, Ryder Lyons is like the biggest get for BYU in the modern era. That might be true, but like BYU has had BYU's had 2 number 1 quarterbacks in the country in the past 2 decades. Don't sleep on that. I know Heaps didn't do much at BYU, but just for some context there. Yeah. I mean, the reality is, if you're a 5-star quarterback nowadays, and BYU has the alumni base where you can go out and spend real bread to get these guys. So BYU say, hey, I'll pay you $2 million to come here. Hey, I'll pay you $1.5 million to come here. Start the trend of big-time Mormon prospects going to BYU. They got the pockets to do that. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if this is the first of much more to come for high-profile recruits like that, because the fact is, the religious component to that recruitment is unique and very much a factor. But if you're a guy like Lyons, man, he wants to play right away. You know, you go to a USC, you might not play right away. You go to some of these big-time programs, it's not a given that you get on the field. Him at BYU, dude, even if he doesn't win the job, the pressure for him to get on the field right away and the pressure under that staff seems crazy. Oscar asked, did I ever play against Federal Way? Yes, I did. Playoff game my sophomore year. Then we played him again my senior year as well. Thoughts on the problems with Dolphin culture? White or witty? What do you mean by that? Levi says, just signed up for a 4th of July 5K. I'm hyped. Levi, what's the plan of attack there? Are we doing the 5K in the morning and then getting after it in the afternoon with some adult beverages and some... Hopefully you'll find yourself in a body of water, either a pool or a lake. My ideal setup, you want to go for 9 that morning on the 4th, and then do a full moment in the afternoon and see where the night takes us. That'd be an ideal setup. Jonah, I love you too. What up? Thoughts on Nebraska this year? I'm high on Nebraska. Year 3, Matt Rule. Year 2 with Raiola. Raiola seems to have locked in this offseason in terms of, not that he wasn't before, but just, you know, you see that from younger quarterbacks from year 1 to year 2. Your body starts to become looking like a legit dude and not just a high schooler. Big Ten's going to be tough, but Nebraska, what they win a game last year. And I think they lost some close ones last year. That's what makes the story for Nebraska next decade. It wouldn't surprise me if they definitely in the top half, which doesn't sound like that good of a compliment. But there's a lot of teams in the Big Ten. Do I think they contend for a title? No. Do I think they sneak up on some people and get some quality wins and are hanging around that 7, 8, 9 win mark? Yeah, totally. Derek, what's going on? Johan, what up, dude? Good to see you again. Multiple players saying lazy practices, bad leadership within the team. Curious if McDaniels is on his way out. I do think it's a critical year for McDaniels. I'm actually working on a video on YouTube right now. I think it's going to be a coaching carousel bloodbath in December. You heard it here first. You guys can all circle up with me in 5.5 months. The coaching carousel, I'm jumping around, but in college football was light this past December as a result of it being light last year. I think it's going to be May this December. To the NFL side, probably make or break year for McDaniel. Like if they go middle, if they go, if they have a top 10 pick, he might be on his way out. It just feels like a critical moment too with the Patriots in their own division getting some momentum, give an opportunity to get some wins with the Jets. Tua, I know they gave him a big contract, but if he has just like a mediocre year, where's it put you? I guess my take here though is when you hire a guy like McDaniels and you're living in a environment like Miami, the upside with McDaniel is he's able to relate to players, right? And you're not worried about him being archaic or not having enough energy or not being able to get through to the modern day player. The flip side is, do people take advantage of that and he's too much of a friend first, coach second? Again, in a city like Miami where it's easy to have fun, or that you lose the discipline elements and things of that nature. I've made a similar comment to, I think, a challenge at USC that often goes underappreciated is how hard it is to build culture at USC. The average fan kind of rolls their eyes and is like, what are you talking about? USC's got the legacy, the tradition, it's USC. How do you have a hard time building culture? Well, it's different when you have, nowadays, especially with NIL, everyone's living in fancy apartments downtown. You're not living on campus. And the second you get out of practice, you can go to the beach, you can go to the movies, you can go to the Hollywood Entertainment sign, you can go eat at whatever Michelin star restaurant you want. You can go back home and go back and chill with your homies. For a lot of these guys that live 20, 30 minutes away, the Dolphins comp here is everyone wants to stay in Miami. Everyone wants to visit Miami. It's just harder to build culture in environments like that. Much easier to build culture in environments where it's Buffalo, where all you got to do is hang out with your homies during the year, or Blacksburg, Virginia Tech. It's just easier. Skylar Powers didn't know Burrow had a twin. Number 2, the over-under for today is 10. Burrow references. Ricky D. Met you in Jim Chaney's office at Tennessee in high school. I was QB. You played week 1, Youngstown State at Pitt. That's crazy. One, what's up, Ricky? I've never been to Tennessee, though. Who are you thinking of? I've never been to Tennessee, but I did play against you, I guess. You guys almost had us, dude. Dude, that would have been a nightmare. No offense, but if we would have lost to you week 1, I probably would have got benched week 3. I probably would have got benched a week earlier. Did get thrown back in there. Gosh, our first time with a new offensive coordinator, it started raining. The game was ugly. That was brutal. I took a shot that game, too. I remember, never said this, I don't think. First and only time in my career I was pissing blood after a game. Youngstown State, week 1, man. I took a shot in my kidney. European blood afterwards. But it's football. People ask me, try to make comps from football and basketball, or football and golf. Like, you're not pissing blood after a golf. You're not pissing blood after a basketball. Football, people totally underestimate the fact that you've got 300 pounds of dudes coming to absolutely clean your clock. Football is a violent ass game. Anyways, glad we got that win. One of only 2 wins I got as a starter, so those are precious to me. Yeah, it was probably Christian Hackenberg. Never been to Tennessee. That sounds right. I think Hack was down to the wire with Tennessee. Tennessee, Penn State. Yeah, that sounds right. I think it was Hack. Hack's a good dude. Lord Jimbo, what up, dude? Good to see you again. We get a few words every now and then get to fill the rest in our own minds. Is it messed up? Is the sound still messed up? Let me know, YouTube. Let me know. Go on and Lord Jimbo. sec. The Darnold question, I see that in the chat. One sec, my audio. I guess I'll chat while I try to do this. Sam Darnold was an awesome teammate, dude. All time. Always will root for him. That's not just lip service. That's not me just trying to be nice and all that. YouTube, did that do anything? Let me know. If not, I'll try to get working. Boom. There you go. Got it. Audio good. Sam Darnold, all-time teammate, dude. We battled it out and had a super intense quarterback competition, but even then, like the homie did, rooting for him. Timu Joe Burrow, that's our third reference for the day. Bro, you look like that's their fourth reference for the day. Here we go. There we go, Derek. We're having some niche Pitt references. Does anyone remember that 2017 Pitt game? Or Rice game? You know, boy. Yes, Brady, I do. All the time. All the time. You know it. Greg, what are my thoughts on Rider Lions to BYU? We've talked about it a couple times, so I'll keep it short, but I appreciate you joining. I just think it makes a ton of sense, especially it's always a little taboo to touch on the religious aspect, but I grew up in a hometown that had 10% Mormon population, so I'm very wary of what that tie is and how idolized you would be as being the number one quarterback, 5-star quarterback, going to a school like BYU, and they're going to ride or die for him, ride or die, pun intended. He's going to get every shot to play early. BYU's got an alumni base with deep pockets. I'm sure he's getting paid well. I think it makes tons of sense. And if it doesn't work out, it's sad, but it's the reality nowadays. He could transfer, but I think it makes tons of sense. Opportunity to play early. You got a staff and a program that's going to give you every shot to have success and not play with a short leash. I think it makes a lot of sense. Lord Jimbo, what I missed with Retzloff? What's up with him? Did he get hurt? What did I miss with him? Gage Lassiter, you were in Home Alone. See, a lot of Joe Burrow comps. Every once in a while, a Macaulay Culkin reference will get in there. There we go. Adam, yes, it's the long-lost brother. Bro, I did not see that. Retzloff had a sex assault civil case. Where was I? Goodness gracious. Especially at a school like BYU, they are not going to mess with that. I mean, he could then. Shoot, he could. Sanchi asked if I thought about Arizona State this season. I would be if I was an ASU fan, I would be very excited, or I guess I'll frame it a different way. If I was Kenny Dillingham, I'd be very excited that you're out of the dog days. His job's secure. He's got a belief in a culture that he likes. But you start reading some of that ASU stuff, they might be getting ahead of themselves a little bit. Levitt's talking a cocky game. He is. If you say it differently, it's just because we're trying to protect a young kid. He's talking a cocky game. That's his shtick. That's his thing. It's different when you are the hunted rather than the hunter, and everyone has ASU on their schedule and they're wary of what you're saying. ASU is an interesting team for me where I believe in Kenny Dillingham. I think Sam Levitt's a great quarterback, but I've seen this story before. Off-season expectations. You think last year's copy and paste to this year. You come in here with a cocky approach. That is what it is. Dude, you can't have it both ways. I hope the kid does well. He's a baller, but I'd be measured with Arizona State because I for example, I think Utah's season was an outlier last year. BYU will be good again. UCF's interesting to me. TCU could do something. The Big 12. Big 12's fun to watch. Hey, there we go. CJSKZU, what up? Go Spartans, baby. What do you think of Cade Klubnik? I met Cade Klubnik for the first time last week. He came and said, what's up at Elite 11. Good dude. I called one of his games last year versus the Citadel on the CW. I'm rooting for him. I think he's top 5 college quarterback coming back. To me, the big thing for him is, Clemson's got a chance. And if it's not this year for Clemson, I don't know if they'll ever get back to the national title hopes in this current era. Like, all the things are pointing this direction for Clemson. To me, though, with Cade, can he develop as a big-time pocket passer? Because I find that he uses his legs a lot on like third down, money downs to make big plays, which is great. And that's what you should do when you have a talent like that. But I don't think his game translates as well to the NFL. So the common take is, oh, Cade's the best returning college quarterback. Oh, then therefore he's going to be a first-round pick next year. I think he's got a big step he's got to take to get there. Is Lincoln Riley on the hot seat after this year? Nah, he's not. Because his buyout's too much. NIL's changed the game. The boosters that would have paid his buyout now go to NIL. He's not on the hot seat right now. He will be come November if they're a middling team. But right now, to the true essence of your question, nah, he ain't on the hot seat. Washington State or Oregon State? Sterling Miles. Those are my two squads. If it's not USC or Pitt, love me some Cougs and Beavs. I'm torn, and I'm not trying to give you a wishy-washy answer, but here's why. I grew up a Washington State fan, or an adjacent Washington State fan. My best friend down the street growing up was a Coug. So I'd grow up rooting for the Cougs in the Apple Cup. But then lately, I've been going to Oregon State every single year to call games. So I love Corvallis. Always love going to the Northwest. But I'm there like every year. So it's this cool internal like check-in with myself every single year of, you know, as the years progress, as you keep climbing in your career and all that, it's like whenever I step onto Corvallis, it's like a little like mental check-in, mental reset. So I got a soft spot for both schools, man. That's a cop-out answer, but it goes USC Pitt, Washington State, Oregon State, baby. Sammamish Legend, what up, PR0642? Thoughts on the Washington Huskies? Dylan, good question. I've talked about the Dogs a few times these past lives. On that side note, for all you guys on TikTok and then those of you guys hanging on YouTube, I'm live every Tuesday and Thursday at noon Pacific, chatting for an hour. I might have to move the Thursday live when we get in the season because I usually am having to board a flight during this time. So stay tuned on that front. Active on YouTube, so check all that stuff. But the Huskies are a leading dark horse pick for me to make some noise, to at least make some noise. I think Damon Williams is – a year from now, we'll be talking about Damon Williams as one of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten. The average college football fan does not even know who Damon Williams is. I love Jed Fish. I think he's a phenomenal play caller. I thought they overperformed last year. People sleep on that, but that could have been an ugly, ugly season for Washington last year. It was not. You got Jonah Coleman. I've seen the pictures. Looks like he has shed some weight. Don't sleep on the Dogs, man. Siobhan, good to see you. HR picking stuff. Good to see you again. Am I a cat or a dog person? See, if anyone who knows me is watching this right now, the joke with my high school friends, my college friends, my adult friends is like, I'm not a dog person. People say I get awkward around dogs. It's just because I don't do like the weird, like dog talk where everyone talks to him. Like he's like they're like, 6 months old and they're like making out with the dog on the couch. Sorry. That's just not my speed. I love dogs. I got no problem with dogs. But if I had to pick between dogs and cats, probably dogs. I never had pets growing up, but people say I pet dogs weird. People give me all sorts of shit around dogs, but they love me. They be coming. They be hanging with me. If there's any Vic fans in this, ask her about that. She'll have some good commentary there. That's what I'm saying, Max. People be like making out with their dogs on the couch. I'm like, dude, this is too much. We got guests over. Greg Morales, way too early prediction for QB next year, Maeva or Longstreet? Ooh, this is a multi-layered question, Greg, because if it's not Maeva, that either means he lit the world on fire and he's a first-round pick, or USC had a terrible year. I don't think he's going to be a first-round pick. I would say Maeva. I think he's got some really good tools. And it's just hard to start as a young quarterback in college football. It's just the reality of it. I'll go Maeva, but that's a really good question. That's a mailbag question where I got to jot down on the side. On that note, too, for any USC fans in the chat, I'm contemplating doing a reoccurring USC podcast in some format for the fall. It would be a light lift, like every Sunday night, every Monday morning during the fall, like my 5 takeaways from the game, get in, get out kind of thing. Probably go live or something and just rip through it. But that's in the works. Keep an eye out for that. I'm talking to a couple groups, so I gotta figure out what that's gonna look like. But there's just a lot of USC folks here, especially on my YouTube, that, if you guys want the USC content, it'd be good for me to stay close to the program too. Because I used to do USC radio every week, so like I naturally kept a pulse on everything. Not so much the case anymore. Max, could I dominate in the MAC right now? Nah, dude, I can't throw anymore. And it always feels like a cop out, but my injury at Pitt, man, I can't throw. Dish dash. See, this is my favorite Joe Burrow joke for me. It says he looks like looks like Joe Burrow and Peyton Manning had a child. That's not the first time I've got that, but it's a good comp. It's a good comp. I see you talking to the dog like the other broadcaster in the booth, right? I'm going to do that whenever I have a kid at some point. I'm going to be the dad that like talks to their 2-year-old kid like a full-on grown-up. My brothers used to do that, and that shit is comedy. But like the baby talk, like it's not me trying to be just like macho. It's just like weird to me. I'll leave it for other people to do that. I disagree with the take, Cuddles. State needs to stop throwing short of the sticks. They just aren't getting any yak. Lord Jimbo, you're getting the systems moving for TikTok, possible TikTok ideas down the road. I'm not gonna exploit my kids for good TikToks, but that'd be a good series of me doing football commentary, and then having like the co-host or co-anchor be my little kid or a dog in this context. What percentage of players on your teams watched pregame shows like College Game Day? 70. If we had a 3:30 p.m. kickoff and time allowed, like we didn't have meetings that morning, everyone would watch it. It would just be like on. So in some capacity, but like start to finish, probably not, because what happens is if you have a 4 p.m. game, they don't want you sleeping in. So you usually like get up and at them, have some sort of breakfast. Usually there's a TV off in the distance, so you'll at least like see pieces of it. But then you'll go through meetings. You might go through like a little activation warm-up situation. The Big Ten Network invited you to collaborate on a reel. There we go. Any guesses on what that reel is about? It's in works. I'll probably come over to TikTok. But I'd say most people watched College Game Day. What I'd be intrigued with, though, is do people now watch College Game Day always, or is Big Noon Kickoff more of a thing for schools? I don't know. It's got to be game day. It's got to be game day with Pat McAfee and all that. Or a gerbil or something. That's funny. Mary Jane 4, hello from the hometown. Let's go. Sammamish Day. What up? Say Sammamish, stand up. Pokes, hear me out. You can have 20 million, but for the rest of your life, what you got, Pokes? What you got, Pokes? What you got? Spencer, USC record prediction this fall. I got them at 8 wins regular season. So 8-4, 8-5, which sounds terrible, or sounds not fun, but that's the over. That's hitting the over in Vegas. Incredible Jonas. I don't recognize the username. Welcome. What do I think about the Steelers with Rodgers next season? I'm optimistic. I saw that video of Rodgers doing footwork drills last week. He's moving well. I also don't think he's as much of an oddball as the media portrays. Like my gut just thinks, but like he has his quirks and he does his things, and he like intentionally has the like leaves everyone in the dark with his whole marriage thing, when most people would just be like, yeah, I married the love of my life. Like we got married. Like that's all. Like why does it have to be some secret thing that we all have to like unpack? Regardless, I don't think he's as much of an oddball. I think Mike Tomlin is an absolute beast of a head coach. They got some weapons. They got DK. They're always going to have a good defense. I could see them right in the same situation they're usually at, around like 10 wins. But for most NFL franchises, that's a solid season. The Steelers have they come into the season with some baggage and a different framing on a lot of things. But I'm optimistic for what Aaron Rodgers could do. AFC North is ridiculous. I think it's unrealistic to think the Bengals will
start the season as slow as they did last year. Ravens are beast, but we've seen it before where you have like 3 teams in a division that are stacked. Who else they got? Browns. Browns should be rough. Yeah. Nick, met you at a Jersey Mike's when you were committed to USC. Should have went to Bama though. Dude, Jersey Mike's is fire. Did you meet me when I went to the US Army All-American game? We did cook. Like I worked for Jersey Mike's for an afternoon. We like put on the apron and we like made sub sandwiches for people. Is that what you're talking about, or a different Jersey Mike's entirely? Because the as a little kid, when you don't really care what you're eating, the foot long or like the Big Daddy cheesesteak, what is it, number 16 on the menu? That sandwich is bomb. Should have went to Bama though. Bama was the number 3 school for me back in the day. I wasn't close to going there though. People forget that. So I was the class of 2013. Bama's DNA that time of year, or that time, was let's just run the rock. Let's play defense. We're not going to pass the ball a bunch. Like, nah, it was a different framing. Like that was a talking point of like, oh, you're interested in Alabama. Well, what about their offensive identity? Like, is that the most quarterback friendly? And then 2 years in like 2015, they obviously got Kiffin, ironically enough, who I signed to play for, and then he renovated their offense. Max Brown, really chill guy. Also should collab with Adam Brenneman. Adam's the homie, man. I met Adam our sophomore year summer. After our sophomore year, he was the number 1 tight end. I was the number 1 quarterback. Little Notre Dame unofficial visit. Notre Dame liked him, and they liked me, though. They were bummed to miss out on him. Adam's done good stuff, man. He does some good things, man. He's a good guy. Chad, who we think takes the Big 12? That's the most interesting question. I don't know who takes it. Jay Gates, great question in the chat. Chat, YouTube, let me know what you think. Big 12, dude. It'd be kind of fun, man. You have the Power 2, and then the Big 12 is just has a bunch of teams that are equal playing field every single year. That'd be fun. Anyone else from your class that shocked you not panned out? 2013 not panned out. I mean, the number 1 receiver our year was Ricky Seals-Jones, who was an absolute freak. To say he didn't pan out might be a little harsh, but he like switched to tight end. He was an absolute beast. Who else? I mean, it's kind of wild to say, but yeah, never mind. Sorry. Who else? I mean, I was looking at my Elite 11 quarterbacks when I was there. You know, Elite 11 guys were like Asante Woolard, myself, Luke Del Rio, Greg Olson's little brother, Kyle Olson, I think it was. You know, we were all Elite 11 guys. None of us really had great college careers. And the guys that we like beat in the Elite 11, a lot of them had better careers than we did. Like, you know, Josh Dobbs. Anyways, yeah. Never got that question before. That's a good one. Who else was in like a recruiting circuit that I was like, yo, that guy's going to be a beast, and it didn't pan out? There was this running back who was one of my running back, Green. He went to Florida State, I believe it was. I'm blanking on his name. Derek Green. I never heard much from him. He was a stud in the camp circuit. Who else is out there? Matthew Thomas, who went on Natty with Florida State. Like, he had a good career, but he could have been like next level. Anyways, yeah. What do I think about Drew Aller for Heisman? I'm not in that camp yet. I think Drew Aller is a really good college quarterback. I think he needs to take a whole nother step to be a first-round NFL quarterback. He's got enough raw talent where a team in the late first round would like take a chance on him, even if he just went status quo into this year. But we're falling into the trap as football media of having to anoint the next guy, right? We were so used to anointing Caleb Williams. And so last year we fell into that trap with Carson Beck. I've been on a record on all these platforms. This time last year, I was like, stop with the Carson Beck stuff. He's not there. Sure enough, we backtracked. We were looking to anoint that guy. I feel like we're falling into the same trap this year of anointing Drew Aller before he's actually there. He's a really good college quarterback, but to put him as, number 1 quarterback in next year's draft, he's not there yet. So I'm slow to roll on all that. Mike asked about my thoughts on Dante Moore. Dante Moore has come up every single live the past month. Reason being, I'm high on Dante Moore. I'm very high on Dante Moore. I think he's going to have a big year. I think he's a stud. I think people read too much into his true freshman year at UCLA and forgot how young he was in that 1 year and lose track of how big of a recruit he was. We underestimate the fact that Oregon did not go in the portal and get a big-time quarterback. That, to me, screams, hey, we have trust in the guy that we do have. I think Dante Moore is going to have a big year. What's our prediction for Penn State this year? I mean, probably like the classic James Franklin year, right? Penn State schedule. Let me look this up. What do we got? I didn't know that, Greg. Kyle Olson played at a community college in Southern California. I didn't know that. Afterwards. So Penn State's got Oregon at home. That is useful. That's a good matchup. Folks. Week four. On that note, too, I'll have an exciting broadcasting update here soon for you guys. So stay tuned there for the fall. Getting that locked in. It'll be good. Drop a little nugget. Sorry, I know it's annoying leading you guys on, but give it time. I think they take care of business at Indiana. Michigan State's intriguing to me. You got Nebraska, so you get no USC. They get no Michigan. They get no Illinois. Oh, baby. I did not realize that fully. This is the year for Penn State, isn't it? This is the year. Go 3-0. Then you got Oregon at home. Let's say you win that 4-0, 5-0 versus UCLA, 6-0 versus Northwestern. You're midway through the season. Then you go on the road to Iowa. Keep a lookout for that game. That game could get ugly if Penn State's 6-0. Iowa's looking to just make it a grimy game. Then you got Ohio State, Indiana, Michigan State. Dude, this is a gettable schedule, folks. This is a gettable schedule. Toe for the Gopher says, don't sleep on Indiana. I'm not sleeping. I've seen Fernando Mendoza in person probably 4 or 5 times. Called 4 or 5 of his games as a starter. All-time human being. One of the best player interviews that you'll have in a week, in a game week. But it's difficult to replicate the magic they had last year. Do they come back down to reality a little bit? LaMike, I do. Wait, is that LaMike? Is that the LaMike I think it is? Oh, sorry. I wasn't sure if that was LaMichael James. Yeah, I do. Oregon's they're going to retool every single year, that they're always going to be in the hunt. And, if they got a poor draw last year, if they get a different draw this year and they stay healthy when other teams don't stay healthy, they got a shot. 100%. My favorite broadcaster. Ooh. Been watching a little bit of NBA Finals, so I admire Richard Jefferson. I think the way that he's brought his personality to broadcasts is awesome and something that I look to take a page out of his book. He's had fun with like the social media side, and he's just a great listen. I also love Doris Burke. People shit on Doris Burke. I get it. When you pair it against Mark Jackson for an NBA Finals game, I get it, but I do like Doris Burke. And then I always admire, this is like going to be a classic answer, but you guys will get what I'm saying, is I always admire Herb Street and Klatt and genuinely love both their work, in large part because they've built their career off of not having an elite playing career. And for a guy like me, it's cool to see that, because most color commentators leverage their playing career to skip the line, and they've earned that, but they are skipping the line. I totally get that. And it's cool to see guys that don't have the playing career make the climb and make it, because if you're a guy like Klatt and Herbie, the only way you get to the top is if you are great, period, at what you do. For a lot of guys, you can make it to the top if you're solid, but then have a big name. There's a big difference there. And so it's cool to have guys like Herbie and Klatt to look up to. I did an event in December of 2023 with Joel Klatt. He hosted like a panel for the Holiday Bowl, USC versus Louisville, and got to have dinner with him there. He's a good guy. Felipe, what's going on? Should LeBron come back to Cleveland? Dude, I'm a huge LeBron guy. Hopefully, Zach, you know that by now. I'm in LA, so I'd be sad to see him go, but I want him to have one more shot at a ring. Should he go back, though? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say the Lakers need to do what they need to do to tool around Luka. hopefully Luka had a bit better offseason and he's not going to come 20 pounds overweight. But no, I want him to stay in LA. Toby, what's up, man? Thanks for hopping on. I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday at noon. Appreciate it. Noon Pacific. Most knowledgeable commentator in the college football industry, in your opinion? Squilliam. Squilliam Fancy Son has won the title for today for Asker. Good stuff. That's 2 for 2. I'd be seeing your questions. Your questions. I'll shout out Greg McElroy. Greg McElroy's weekly podcast. And it's funny, from my perspective, I never know how many of these guys. So, like, from my understanding, the top guys, I won't say names because I don't want to speak out of turn, but the top guys hire a full-time employee to like be their second brain. So they have a guy who they trust that person's football knowledge, and that person studies football, watches football, they talk through takes, and they literally have a second brain to like flush everything out. I would love to get to that point. I would love to hire my high school best friend as like a full-time football guy because he sees X's and O's the way that I do, and to like get a debrief from him every Monday morning of like, what'd you see? Let me go. Obviously, you need to watch things yourself, and you need to have a pulse on everything. And, you know, you only can learn so much from other people. But I say Greg McElroy because you listen to his podcast, dude, he's talking about the third receiver on a random team off the cuff. That's hard. It's hard enough for me to remember the starting quarterback for every school. Ooh, what are those shades? Let's go. So I'll go McElroy, Greg McElroy. In fact, on that note too, like my weekly cadence, like his podcast is now like a mandatory weekly listen, just to get all the information and get the debrief of everything. Do I think Caleb Williams can live up to the generational hype? I do. I think he's that good. I think he'll be just fine. Long. Anything you want to follow? What's up? DJ Lagway for Heisman. Colton, appreciate the question on Ryder Lyons. We've got that question 3 times already, so I got to pass, man. But appreciate the question. How do I think Bryce Young will turn out? I think his ceiling's lower than Caleb. I don't think he'll be as good as Caleb long term. The reality is, like, I don't think he'll be a all-world quarterback. I don't think that's in the cards for him. But could he be a solid starter in Carolina for the next 6 years? Definitely. Could he be to the point where, kind of like we talk about Kyler Murray, kind of like we talk about Tua, kind of like we talk about I want to be careful with this comp. Even a Brock Purdy. I think he could be in that bucket where you're not looking for your next quarterback. You convince yourself you can win a Super Bowl title with him, but he's not an all-world top-tier, A-tier quarterback. Christian, I got to be honest. I got to watch more Marcel Reed film. He's obviously like super exciting and got a lot of runway. I think A&M fans have every reason to be excited, but I don't really have a strong Marcel Reed take. Is Marshall Faulk the greatest player to come out of a California FBS school? He's coaching at Colorado now. I feel like it's a really bold take. Marshall Faulk is big time. Don't get me wrong. I guess Hall of Famer. I mean, there's got to be better. I mean, Marshall Faulk, all love, but there's got to be more guys higher than that, right? Like John Elway. Or isn't Elway from Washington technically? Or did he go to California? Damn, I need some chapstick, folks. Sorry about that. Boom. It's a good question. Who else is out there? Marcus Allen. Is Anthony Munoz from California? God bless college football. Fancy son. Appreciate you, man. If you're not over on YouTube, check out my stuff there. We've been rocking and rolling. Some big time content. Doing things that are deeper dives. So, you know, you guys on TikTok are used to just like my take videos, like scripted take videos. YouTube, it's like deep dives. And I mean, what did I post last week? My memory is faulting me. Oh, I had a big Arch Manning video on like what his the stakes of his season, the lessons that he can learn from other like chosen one prospects, whether it's a Coco Gauff, LeBron James, Bryce Harper, like packaged into a big time YouTube video. Oh yeah, that's right. Last Thursday, the entire history of college football in 8 minutes. Go check that out. Literally type that in. The entire history of college football in 8 minutes on YouTube. You'll see a thumbnail. It's AI generated, which I'm realizing people don't like, of Saban, Bear Bryant, the head ball coach, and it's fun. We have a good little banter in that vid. Christian Danko, great follow-up question. Appreciate it. Last week, he says, last week I asked what made great play callers, and you gave an example of Jedd Fisch as a top 10 play caller. Who else do you think is top 10 in college football right now? It's a great question. Let's go down the list a little bit. I'll go Jedd Fisch now that Alabama guy is back in college football. I'm blanking on his name right now. He was the Seahawks offensive coordinator last year. Ryan Grubb. I put Ryan Grubb in that category. The Pitt offensive coordinator. I'm blanking on his name right now. He's really intriguing. Rhett Lashley at SMU is really good. USC fans are going to be like, Max, homer take. I still put Lincoln Riley in that. I think he's a stud. I think he learned, my guess, I don't know him personally, but my guess is that he adjusts from the struggles they had last year and gets back more to the meat and potatoes of offensive football rather than having to always be creative. But in terms of creativity, Lincoln Riley is right up there still. Who else is there? Going on the West Coast schools. You got Cal, you got Stanford, you got UCLA, SC, Arizona. Dillingham. I think he does some really good stuff. Yeah, that gives you a gauge of where things are at. Who else is there? Chip Kelly's no longer in college football. One sec. Who else? Ohio State. Andy Kolodnicki, Penn State. He does some super creative stuff. I like that. Nebraska, Colorado. Yeah, I won't hang on that too much. That's where I'm at right now. What about in the SEC? Who else is there? Yeah, that's the best I got for you right now. How soon can we expect USC to be in the playoffs? I think there's a world where they get in this year. But if it doesn't happen this year or next year, then Lincoln's probably on his way out. So do I think Miller Moss will get drafted? Ooh, great question. I'll go yes. On Miller Moss to be drafted. I think his skill set translates to the NFL in terms of he doesn't rely on his legs to move the ball. When you rely on your legs to move the ball, that gets minimized when you go to the NFL. I think Louisville is a very intriguing team. Ooh, that might be another play caller right there, Braun. Louisville's a very intriguing team in the ACC. I thought Miller got a bad rap at USC. I think people got so programmed to seeing Caleb Williams be Superman all the time that then it was like, oh, well, then Miller sucks because he's not Caleb, or Miller sucks because he can't run. That's not the reality of the quarterback position. I totally get that you would want to have a dual threat quarterback, all else being equal, but Miller can play winning football on a national level. I bet he does get drafted. Thoughts on prime Josh Freeman? Dude had an absolute hose. Absolute cannon, dude. It's a fun fact. You weren't expecting this. Josh Freeman went to my cousin's high school. So I remember as like a little kid, like 5, 6, 7 years old, being like, ooh, I know that guy. He went to Lee Summit West High School, I believe. You were not expecting that knowledge with that comment. HR picking stuff. Yeah, exactly. Love it. Christian Oliveras, is BYU just grabbing headlines, or can you see them competing at the highest level in the next 3 to 5 years? Great question, Christian. Appreciate it. I do see them competing at the highest level in the next 3 to 5 years because I think in a Big 12 where there's going to be a lot of turnover just in general, a lot of autonomy, BYU is uniquely positioned where I think their roster is going to have a stickiness that's unique to college football because of the religious component to what BYU is. You know, the reality that guys go on their Mormon mission, come back, get married. Like, that's just not a recipe to transfer. Like, let's just be honest. And so I think they're going to have an easier time developing culture in the new era of the transfer portal, which can be their competitive advantage. And they're in a conference that, dude, if they can just make the Big 12 championship game every year, they're going to have a shot. I see BYU consistently in the college football playoff conversation the next 3 to 5 years. Can they win a natty? They got a lot of work to go to get there. But maybe if they have the best quarterback in the country and Ryder Lyons here in 2 years, they could do something. But BYU, I made a video talking about the YouTube. It's been my best performing YouTube video this past month. It's called "This Guy Can Build a College Football Dynasty in the Middle of Nowhere." I know Corvallis is not in the middle of nowhere, but appreciate the YouTube elements to that. And it was about Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, just taking over Oregon State's program and saying, screw it, I'll give you $60 million a year, which is a drop in the bucket for him, and saying, hey, let's bring the Beavs back to national prominence in a lesser but similar way. With BYU's alumni base, they could just say, sweet, we're committing to $40 million a year for our roster. Let's go. They're going to have a harder time getting guys to agree to their school's principles all calendar year. They're going to have a hard time getting every guy in the portal because of other factors that are unique to BYU. But they could do something similar. It's telling me to encourage more viewers to share. Thanks for sharing the live, Dish Dash, and do the little double tap stuff too. Appreciate it. I was going to say, has anyone forwarded that thing to Huang? I don't know, Lord Jimbo. I hope so. It's got 30,000 views on YouTube. It's getting up there. Oh yeah, Oregon State, dude. My childhood for Oregon State was consistently in the top 25 with, Derek Anderson through Matt Moore through number 4, the tall guy, Sean Mannion with the Rogers brothers. They had some dudes, man. Harold Diesel Dean. I have a Burrow jersey tee. Jared Martino, what are my thoughts on Tate Martell? Did you expect his career to go like that? What's Tate Martell doing these days? Fun fact, I used to train with Tate Martell all the time in the offseason. We had the same quarterback coach when I was at USC. He would fly out to LA, train with him like for weeks on end, like during his summer break and whatnot. So I know Tate. Obviously, I got a soft spot for a story like that because I can relate, right? You have all the expectations in the world. Tate had more of a brand, I'll leave it that way, than I did coming out of high school. So he played into that more than I did. So he built it up, right, with all the hoopla that he played into. So that anytime you build it up, that just makes the fall that much further. I didn't build it up like that, so my fall wasn't as far as his was. But I always got a soft spot for that because I saw it firsthand. At 17 years old, you think your shit doesn't stink and there's no way that you don't have success. And then you wake up and you're 21 years old, 4 quick years later, and it's like, oh, how the heck did this happen? That's a tough spot to be in. So I always got a soft spot for him. But no, I did not see his career going that way because I thought his skill set translated to the new wave of college football. But I do think that bravado that he had as a young kid or younger kid and, his parents and whatnot, it's always a slippery slope, right? It's amazing and fun when things are going well. But when things are not going well, oh man, does it shock the system where it used to be, everything we touched turned to gold kind of thing. And we were the talk of the town, but then not that way. It's a tough spot to be in. Yeah, Lord Jimbo, just read all the comments. I got you. What college QBs that you grew up watching did you try modeling your game after? I more so modeled my game after NFL guys. I was a huge Peyton Manning guy on and off the field. I loved the way that he handled interviews. I loved his personality. I loved his work ethic. I loved the way that he approached film. I modeled my throwing motion after him, which in hindsight was probably not the best thing. Fun fact, coming out with a YouTube video making the perfect NFL football. So you see how this is like dark brown? I've never thrown this once. I did the whole, I got the Seahawks quarterback mud recipe and I made it. Full YouTube video coming out probably Saturday, if not Tuesday, a week from today. Check it out. But my throwing motion was like Peyton Manning, like did the whole high shelf thing. Put the ball on the shelf, put the ball on the shelf. That was like a common quarterback talking point when I was in a little kid. Ball on the shelf over the top. That's what Peyton Manning was big at. Nowadays, no one coaches that. Now it's ball like comfortable in the pocket so you can move and, ball security a little bit. The old coaching point, so TikTok can see, used to be you want the ball here rather than here to quicken up your release. People realize this is less athletic. It's a ball security concern with edge rushers coming from behind your back, and it's just not comfortable and athletic as much. But Peyton Manning was big on this. I remember modeling my game after him. He was like the one quarterback. College quarterback, though, I don't have an answer there. I didn't really model my game after any college quarterbacks. Maybe that was a little writing on the wall because I always say if I was a year older, I probably wouldn't have been a 5-star quarterback, or a year younger, I probably wouldn't have been a 5-star quarterback because my skill set, I don't think you can be a 5-star quarterback now if you're only a pocket passer. That's what I was. So the game was kind of evolving past my skill set. And so a lot of the quarterbacks that I grew up, like, I was a senior when Johnny Manziel won the Heisman. I was a junior when RG3 won the Heisman. I was in late middle school when Tim Tebow won the Heisman, Cam Newton. Like maybe that should have been a tell for me that like, yo, Max, your style is getting phased out a little bit. But I guess pocket passers were still going to the NFL. But the quarterbacks I grew up like that were like the dudes were all dual threat guys. So I couldn't relate to that. I remember when Oregon and Chip Kelly sent me a letter, and Ohio State and Urban Meyer sent me a letter, and I was like, dude, there is no way you guys actually want me because I'm just not your style of QB. Ja Field. Pretty good numbers today, guys. TikTok holding strong, especially we're in the lamest part of the football calendar. Fast forward a couple months, could be a different story. Do you love football more now than ever? Great content, by the way. Kaiser, this might be the question of the day. Kaiser might have outdone the person beforehand. No, I think my peak love for football was as a high school senior. I was all like, dude, I lived it and breathed it every single day. It was like a mission. It was like a calling. Nowadays, and then it's cool, and I'm super grateful for this because I lost my love for football when I stopped playing from like 2019 to 2021 was a really interesting part for me where in my head, I knew my love for football would swing back around, but my heart was like, dude, I do not want to like read this article or I do not want to listen to this college football podcast. Like, I don't care, but I knew I wanted to stay around football long-term. So I would like force my way through it. And it felt like work. It didn't feel like something I enjoyed. Luckily, the further removed you get away from playing, and the scar tissue that comes as a result of the way that my playing career finished out, you kind of get past that, you move forward, and your peers slowly stop playing as well. So it's easier to become a fan, and the love swung back around. But no, my peak love for football was probably junior year in high school. That's when you're, I'd never seen the dark sides of football. So your love for it's a little bit more pure. Thanks, Kaiser. Appreciate that. I don't know why I just said that 3 times. I guess I really appreciate that. Could OU climb back up with Venables as the head coach? Better question, Scott, which I appreciate you hanging. Scott's here every single week. Better question is, can OU climb back to the top with, what's his name? I'm blanking on his name. The quarterback. John Mateer as the quarterback. John Mateer is legit. If Oklahoma gets back to the top, it'll be because of John Mateer. Sully, what's up, dude? Love the content. Bo Juro. Colton Yancey, that's actually super interesting. Hey, I just got my first D1 offer to Texas State. Love the content. Congrats, dude. That's awesome. I'm curious. Here's a question for you. When they recruit you, do they talk about the possibility of them going to the Pac-12? I was just listening to a podcast last night that was saying Texas State's on track to join the Pac-12, which sounds random for the people that haven't been tracking the behind the scenes, but makes a lot of sense on they're going for sure? Is that – are we breaking news? Is that what the coaches are telling you, that Texas State's going to the Pac-12? We might be breaking news right here, folks. A brand new commit. Wait, that's amazing. All right, there we go. Texas State coaches are recruiting, saying that they're going to go to the Pac-12. That's interesting. So that'll be their 8th football playing member. Or no, 7th football playing member, 8th school. Gonzaga's the 8th, I believe it is. They're tracking to potentially get Memphis as well. Sac State and Texas State. Breaking news. Is that actually serious, or have I not checked? I haven't checked Twitter this whole day today. So, dude, that's crazy. We live in a society where, like, if I choose to do these lives at noon and just the way my schedule works, I'll fix it during the season because you just can't get away with that because news breaks every every Tuesday morning. But like, it's funny that like our news cycle is so quick that like I might have missed that. But Texas State, dude, what a climb for them. Spavital's Colton, is Spavital your head coach? Spavital's still there, right? No. He got fired from there. Who's Texas State's head coach? Because Spavital's a good play caller. J.G. Kenny. That's right. And who was the quarterback? I guess, Cole, what position do you play? Because Texas State did some good things last year. That game versus ASU was good. Is the Pac-12 going to be considered a power conference again? Unfortunately not, Scott. They're unfortunately not. The reality is, for those of you guys that don't know my stance on this, it's the Power 2. It's not the Power 4. It's the Power 2, then the ACC and Big 12, which still deserve a seat at the table, but it's not the Power 4. They're not on equal playing field. But they are good enough to still be included in everything, but just not to the same degree as the other two conferences. Skyline, Washington, or Alabama? KJ, you already know the answer to that. Go Spartans, baby. Jared Martino, great question, because I actually have a strong take on this. Thoughts on Thomas Castellanos? I think he's good. I think he was in a terrible system for his skill set at Boston College, where he was asked to be a true pocket passer. That dude has to be in a true dual threat passing attack. What does that mean? Tons of RPOs. Anytime he's asked to drop back, cut the field in half, and only ask him to look at one side of the field. Some rollouts. Every run game action you're doing in the backfield, like do passing concepts off of that. Like it's got to be a quarterback run first offense or a run first attack out of shotgun. What's his face? His new play caller that you guys just got at Florida State. I'm blanking on his name. The old Natty championship winning coach. Thomas is the perfect quarterback for that system. If he's going to have success in any system, it's that system. Don't sleep on that. I called the last game that Thomas Castellanos started at Boston College, so I saw him get benched. I've seen him in person twice. He's good. He's got some talent, but it's a very specific skill set. It'd be like you can't put a guy you can't put a pocket passer in in the Thomas Castellanos scheme. You can't do that. Like you don't have the legs and you can't operate that. That doesn't mean that quarterback's bad. You just got to get him in a spread pocket pass friendly offense. Two more minutes. So last couple of questions here. Thoughts on Clemson? Bryson, we talked about it like 30 minutes ago, so I'll keep it short, but this is the year, man. This is the year. I met Cade Klubnik in person for the first time last week. Big fan. I like his game. Think he's a great college quarterback. Got room to go to be an NFL quarterback, though, starting quarterback. But they got a lot of guys that were like sophomores, redshirt freshmen last year that now are like getting into year 3. This is the year for Clemson. Thoughts on modern shotgun, triple option, and spread option teams like at Liberty, Kansas, UNLV, Jackson State last year? I called my first UNLV game last year, so I saw the dude, what's that offense called? My brain's not working today. The go-go offense. I would not want to play in it as a quarterback, but I totally see the upside as a coach because especially if you don't have an elite quarterback, all the misdirection puts so much pressure on the defense without you even having to throw the ball that I think it's a great offense. Yeah, I mean, the go-go offense, we're going to see more and more of it. And so what is it? It's like triple option run game out of shotgun. But then because it's primarily out of shotgun, you're still able to do like drop back passes. And then it's goofy formations. And this is one factor that people sleep on. When you do that UNLV go-go offense and you're lining up with all this misdirection and all these goofy formations, What does a defensive coordinator say? Defensive coordinator says, fuck it. Let's just line up in man coverage. Like, we just got to line up. We just got to line up. Just man coverage. Screw it. That's exactly what the offense wants you to do, because when you go man coverage, and UNLV had that NFL receiver on the outside last year, you go man coverage, they just run go balls on the outside. They run crossers down the middle. They run a comeback on the outside, and it's a super easy picture for the quarterback. The way the run game complexity, that's a word, right? Complexities line up with the passing attack. How simple it is. I love the mesh there. Keep an eye on Sac State this year with the go-go offense. Great question. Love it. Cassius, what's up, dude? Hope all's well. Was there any QB you came up with that you didn't think was going to be good and balled in college? I'll give props where props due. I didn't think Josh Dobbs was like crazy good, and he's had a hell of a career. He was a good dude. Like I thought he, I remember meeting him. I remember exactly where I met him, Redondo Beach High School, summer of 2012. And he was a good quarterback. But if you told me that he was going to have, he'd be one of the top 5 most successful quarterbacks in my recruiting class, it goes Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, and Josh Dobbs. I would not have believed that 13 years ago. He deserves tons of credit. Yeah, probably Josh Dobbs. Ricky White, HR picking stuff. Where did he land in the draft? He was good, man. He was really good. Where did he land in the draft? Or is he still in college? Undrafted free agent. Dang, man. He's an undrafted free agent. What NFL team's he on? Here's a fantasy sleeper for you guys. Docs, Nick Nash. That's the San Jose State guy, right? Yeah. He's legit. That dude makes some contested catches. Wait. Why is Ricky White an undrafted free agent? One sec. Last question, then I got to sign off. No. The Seahawks selected him. I did not know. They drafted him with the 238th pick. Seattle Seahawks. Man, dude, the Seahawks be drafting well. There we go. Let's go, Hawks. I got to text my guy. I did not know they got Ricky White. Let's go. He's good, man. He's good. Anyways, that's good stuff. That was fun hanging for an hour, guys. I'll be back Thursday at 1 p.m. Tomorrow we can catch up on it. Tomorrow I'm going to like a little Under Armour event. I'm set to do some content with Justin Jefferson, and Cam Ward will be there. So keep your eyes out for that. I need a game plan what I want to do with those guys tonight, but it'll probably be more like TikTok short form content. I feel like there's some funny bit that I could do with all you guys thinking I look like Joe Burrow and then Justin Jefferson, like bring my little Joe Burrow jersey tee or something. I don't know, but we'll get rocking and rolling. Keep an eye out YouTube on Thursday. I got a video of, it's called Why Quarterbacks Love Mud. And I walk through the Seattle Seahawks quarterback mud recipe, and I make the perfect game NFL football. And we walk through the steps there. That might sound super random, and you guys like, Max, well, why the hell are you doing that? My best performing YouTube short last year in 2024 was titled I Started the Quarterback Mud, or I Invented the Quarterback Mud at USC. Watch that video. Check it out. But that's where that video is coming from. Anyways, this was fun. I'll see you guys. That video is coming out Thursday. And then Saturday, it's a little bit different week on YouTube. I did Dan Campbell's coffee routine, daily coffee routine for 5 straight days. So that's coming Saturday. Drinking every morning 2 venti Starbucks coffees with 2 shots of espresso in each, kind of savage. Stay tuned for the results. Anyways, this is fun. Appreciate you guys.